This is the Louie T Network.
I'm ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Louie? Yeah.
Overtime! So we head to overtime.
Who else could it be but me, your me, Louie T? Welcome to Sunday Night Football Overtime. Ravens, Steelers, AFC North family business of the highest, utmost importance. If these two teams say they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's AFC North family business. Last week, I talked about how I felt the Cincinnati Bengals Steelers rivalry had overtaken this Steelers-Ravens rivalry. I may have misspoke. And, you know, we can get caught up in the moment. This society, in this age, okay, this demographic, we get caught up in the here and now. We get caught in the present time. Everything's the best ever now. And we tend to forget about the past quickly. I'm guilty. Guilty as charged. I still think the physicality and the pure hatred that exists in the Cincinnati rivalry with Pittsburgh is something that is just so attractive. I don't know what it is, but it's something there extra that just pulls you in. It's like some kind of force. But this is still a premier matchup in the league. Ravens, Steelers. And every year I ask myself, why do they still feel the need to put this on national television at some point? And this is why, right here. You know, it's not always the most aesthetically pleasing, especially when the Ravens are struggling to score. But when the Ravens have it going like they did tonight, and we know the Steelers at any given moment can put 35 plus on you. And we've seen that over the last, month and a half. Put 40 on the Titans. What they put up on Green Bay a couple of weeks ago on Sunday Night Football on this very program. What they put up, 33 maybe? 31, 34, something like that. What they do last week. It was another 30-point performance I think they needed last week to win. What was it, 20? No, it was 20-something. 23-20 over Cincinnati. 35 more, 39 tonight? Ben Roethlisberger over 500 yards passing. If you're a Ravens fan, though, this one has to make you sick to your stomach because you had no business losing this game. None. Not one reason you should have lost this game, other than your defense, which has been outstanding all season long, looking like straight garbage. But then again, same can be said for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But we knew why their defense was going to look vastly different. I've said this as many times as I can remember, for as long as I can remember. This Steelers defense isn't the same without Ryan Shazier. Now, am I really saying much to most people? No, I'm not. But I don't think a lot of you knew just how big of an impact he had on this Steelers defense until you got to see him this year. I've been screaming that Shazier is the new modern-day NFL linebacker, and he's one of the best in the business for 2.5 years now. If you'd asked me if you're going to start on defense and you're going to draft a linebacker, who would be the first linebacker you're going to draft? I would have told you 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and this year, the first guy I'm taking is Ryan Shazier. So you saw the lack of foot speed on that Steelers defense, and they were getting gashed in the run game. We're going to talk about that because the Ravens were outstanding. But then I thought they made a folly at the end of the game, and we're going to talk about that. But if you're a Ravens fan, this one stinks because you still had an outside, and I chronicled this last week. You had an outside shot at still winning this division. Just think about it for a second. You beat the Steelers in this game. They're going to play New England next week, a team that they have struggled with. They chronicled that throughout the game tonight. They talked about the last 4 meetings between those two teams and how the Patriots have thoroughly dominated the Pittsburgh Steelers, including last year in the AFC Championship game. They struggle with that outfit out there in New England. So that could have been 2 straight losses. And they talked about your finish to the season, Cleveland and Indy and Cincinnati, all winnable games, the final 2 of which are at home. You could have easily won your last 5 games. I think you came into this game riding a 2-game, 3-game winning streak. You could have easily finished the season on a 8-game win streak. It was not inconceivable that you could have run the table had you won this game tonight. And you look up at the Steelers, it's not inconceivable that they lose to you tonight, lose next week, and I think they have Cleveland to finish up the season. They probably weren't going to lose that game. But I don't know who their Week 16 opponent is, but you just never know. The Steelers are notorious for playing down to the level of competition. You just never know, but now you'll never know because you didn't get it done tonight, and you should have. And we're going to talk about why I think you didn't get it done down the stretch of this ball game. But in any event, welcome to the program. I'm your man, Louie T. Steelers get it done. 39-38 in a thrilling, just a fabulous football game. I actually wanted more. I didn't want this game to end. I literally wanted this to be 38-38, and if not for Mike Tomlin going for 2 and not getting it, and the score being off, this probably would have been 38-38, and I would have loved 38-38 because I wanted more. I wasn't done with this game yet. It's almost like that piece of chewing gum that you got in your mouth. Still got a little bit of flavor, but you're like, I probably need to spit this out, but I'm not done with it yet. Felt like that with this game. I wasn't done with this game yet, but in any event, Steelers get the win. They move to 11-2, pending the outcome of the Patriots-Dolphins game on Monday night. They're going to be tied for the number 1 seed. Right now, currently, they are the number 1 seed in the AFC playoff picture. Again, if New England takes care of business on Monday night, which they should, and we expect them to, they'll advance to 11-2 on the season as well, which will set up, and whether they win or lose, it's going to set up a massive AFC showdown next week in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field. Steelers and Patriots. That's going to be a lot of fun. That should have been flexed into Sunday Night Football over that garbage in Oakland next weekend. But again, CBS was not going to give up Patriots-Steelers. They just weren't. So as hard as NBC might have tried, they weren't going to get that game off of CBS no matter what. So this is a big game. Steelers clinched the AFC North with the win. And with this win, they probably also put themselves in a position to ensure that they're going to get one of the top 2 seeds in the AFC. Because you heard them outlining how Jacksonville could some way wiggle their way into one of the top 2 seeds in the AFC. So it was not out of the realm of possibility that a loss tonight could put the Steelers in a precarious situation where they could ultimately end up tied. Because remember, they lose tonight, they would then fall to 10-3. You lose again next week, you're then 10-4. Jacksonville's sitting right there at 9-4 right now. Okay, coming off of a big win over Seattle today. They could eat, and they got to play Tennessee. They're going to win that division. Tennessee lost today. I told you Tennessee was tripping, and that I expected them to lose today. They did. Jacksonville, I told you Tennessee, I thought they were going to win the division, and they still might. But they're not looking like a confident football team, but the Jaguars are. So that could have turned into a mess. I think the Steelers, for all intents and purposes, eliminated that whole narrative, put that behind them. And so big win for them to get to 11-2. Tough loss for the Ravens at 7-6. I still think they're going to get to 10-6. I still think they're going to find a way to get one of those wild card berths and get into the playoffs. And they deserve to be in the playoffs. If they can score like this, and that's a big if with this Ravens football team. But last 2 weeks, 44 and 38 respectively. If they can find a way to score the football, it's a dangerous team because they're not going to play defense like this every week. This is not indicative nor a great representation of what this Ravens football team is defensively. They went up against one of the best offenses in the league tonight, and they got scorched. And so you just chalk it up to saying, okay, play one of the best. And the Killer Bees were on full display tonight. Roethlisberger turned back the clock. He was phenomenal. That's what you call putting the team on your back. Le'Veon Bell took a shot I think it was late second, early third. I want to say it was late second. He was not the same guy. As a matter of fact, they pretty much exclusively went away from the run after that. He didn't get a bunch of touches in the run game after he took that shot on the sidelines. And it was the Ben Roethlisberger show from that point forward. He set a career high for most passing attempts in a single game. I think he threw it over 60 times in this game. He was magnificent. Over 500 yards passing. L.Bell over 100 all-purpose yards in this game, including 2 or 3 touchdowns. I think he had 3 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. And then you got A.B. just being A.B., the best in the business, doing it. He did it again when they needed him. Came up clutch, big catch down the sidelines. He destroyed Brandon Carr tonight. At some point, I would have loved to have seen the Ravens say, you know what, rookie, get over there. You're on Antonio Brown now for the rest of the game, because Brandon Carr was getting his ass roasted in this game. But again, it's A.B. He's one of the best in the business. Tough to stop him. Whether it was the rookie or Carr, he probably was going to have his way, but I would have loved to have seen the rookie, because Marlon Humphrey looks the part of a real big-time NFL corner, and I would have loved to have seen him take a shot at A.B. tonight, because Carr simply was not getting it done. Let's start with the Steelers in this game. Wow, 19 fourth quarter points. They were being dominated in this game at one point. After starting out the game 14-0, I said, okay, they're gonna beat the brakes off the Ravens tonight. And I thought the Ravens were gonna go and revert back to their old ways of not being able to score. And then Alex Collins happened. And then the Ravens happened. And so let's start with the Steelers on defense, because to me, tonight was an anomaly. Now, without Shazier, this may be the new norm for them, okay? You're missing your top 2 players on defense right now in Pittsburgh. You have been missing Joe Hayden for quite some time, and now you're missing Ryan Shazier. So now the big impetus is now being put on your front 5 to get pressure on the quarterback. You need T.J. Watt. You need Bud Dupree. You need Harrison. You need whomever to get quarterback pressure right now, because you're getting gashed in the run game and you're giving up big plays in the air. I thought the officiating was hideous in this game. I thought it was absolutely horrendous. I thought it affected both teams negatively, but more so the Steelers than it did the Ravens. But I'm not here to complain about the refs in this game. The Steelers were gutted on the ground. And if they're going to beat New England next week, they're going to have to fix that and fix it fast. Because the one thing I've seen from the Patriots of late is that they have made a commitment to the run game, and they can morph into a run team if they need to. We've seen them do it in the past, and we know it's not out of the realm of possibility for Bill Belichick to go to his offensive coordinator and Josh McDaniels and say, hey, they can't stop the run. Let's run it 35, 40 times in this game. Let Tom throw it 23 times, and let's run all over these guys for 225 yards, 3 touchdowns, and beat the Steelers at Heinz Field 31-20 with 3 rushing touchdowns and over 200 yards rushing. They can do that. We've seen them do it before. Okay? They did it with Jonas Gray on a Sunday night versus the Indianapolis Colts one time. I think it might have been last year or 2 years ago. We've seen them morph into a run team. So if they don't fix that, because Alex Collins had himself a night. Buck Allen had himself a night. The Ravens offensive line had themselves a night tonight against this Steelers defense. And like I said, no Shazier spells trouble for the Steelers defensively. I didn't know it would impact them this greatly in terms of just not being able to stop the run, not getting into proper run fits, and just simply looking like a defeated defense. I did not know that it was going to have that type of impact. I said, look, they're going to be different. They're going to struggle in pass coverage with tight ends over the middle field. Benjamin Watson was a non-factor in this game. He came into the game as the leading receiver for the Baltimore Ravens. He was a non-factor. I thought he was going to kill the Pittsburgh Steelers. That wasn't the problem. The problem, I said, they're still stout up front. They still got Cam Hayward. They still got Stephon Tuitt. They still have Javon Hargrave. They still got all the guys that they need to stop the run. Wrong. Wrong. They got gutted on the ground. And then to boot, They were giving up pass interference penalties, some of which I did not agree with. But it doesn't matter. You were giving it up to Flacco through the air. If Flacco didn't underthrow severely Mike Wallace, that's a walk-in touchdown. You heard them talk about the stat. Steelers have given up the most 50-yard touchdowns this season. 6. That's ridiculous. But that's what they do without Joe Hayden. A lot of those have come without Joe Hayden in the lineup. And now without Shazier, you're getting gutted on the ground too? This is not good. It's not the right time for this. However, the offense is picking it up. And let me continue on my point with this defense before we move on to the offense. The Steelers have to play smarter football. They have to be a smarter defense. They can't have brain farts. They can't have these defensive lapses. They have to communicate in the secondary. Guys can't be running wide open. You can't be slamming players after the whistle. You can't be slamming guys that are the ball's incomplete. You don't know it's incomplete. You can't do stupid stuff. Hits to defenseless receivers, things of that. Eliminate the mistakes. You're no longer good enough defensively. You went from one of the better defenses in the league. I thought you were our top 5 defense in this league about 6 weeks ago. Then Joe Hayden got injured. Now Shazier's injured. And now you look like a shell of yourself defensively. So now you can't afford the mistakes defensively. You can't afford the occasional defensive breakdown or miscommunication in the secondary that gives up a 67-yard touchdown. You can't overcome those anymore. You gave up 38 points tonight to the Baltimore Ravens. Granted, they've been playing much better of late. They're still the Baltimore Ravens. Okay? They're still the Baltimore. You can't give up 38 to the Ravens. You can't get gutted on the ground. But you did. And it almost cost you a game. Luckily enough for you, the offense was outstanding tonight. And you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. You find ways to win. That's why you're 11-2. You could easily, and this is the fine line you walk in this league. If the Steelers weren't a good football team, a well-ran organization, and a well-coached football team, they'd be 7-6 right now. Because they would have lost to Green Bay. They would have lost to Pittsburgh last week. They would have lost to the Indianapolis Colts a month ago. They'd be 7-6 right now. It's because they've been in a bunch of close ball games. They would have lost tonight. They've been in a ton of ball games late, close, that they should have lost, could have lost, but they didn't lose because they know how to win. And that's what the good teams do in this league. And the reason they were able to win tonight is because of the offense. Let's get to the offense. What more can I say? What more can I say? What more can I say that I haven't already said about the Killer Bees? Ben, Brown, Bell, company. And oh, by the way, in those Killer Bees, go ahead and throw Boswell in there, please. Because for the 4th time in 5 games, he's kicked a game-winning field goal. Should have been another walk-off. We're going to talk about that, though, when we talk about this Steelers offense. But should have been a walk-off. And for the 4th time in 5 games, he kicks a game winner. He has been just phenomenal. Ice water in his veins. And that's what field goal kicking is all about. Your field goal kicker is supposed to be an asset, a weapon, not a liability. 30% of the teams around the league have a liability at the field goal kicking position. These 2 teams in this particular game tonight, not among the 30%. Chris Boswell continues to add his name to the group of Killer Bees. Because you've got to watch out for Chris Boswell down the stretch of football games. He's not missing field goals. He's not missing extra points. And when the game's on the line, doesn't matter from 40, 45, 50, 55, this guy's been money. And he did it again tonight. But this was about Ben. This was about Brown. This was about Bell. This was about that offensive line, giving Ben time. This is about that offensive line, giving Le'Veon Bell rushing room. This is about this offense as a whole, whether it's in the first half, Vance McDonald before his injury, catching footballs, making some plays, or Jesse James at the tight end position as well, catching the football. Made a huge 3rd down conversion, 3rd and 14, he gets 16 on the final drive of the game offensively for the Steelers when they had to have it. Jesse James was massive in this game. Eli Rogers did a little something in this game. So did Martavius Bryant. But the story of the game continues to be the Killer Bees, Brown, Bell, and Ben. They were outstanding. And like I said, not many quarterbacks. There are only a handful of quarterbacks that can do what Ben did tonight. Simply take the team, put them on your back, and say, I got you tonight. That throw to Brown at the end of the game to put them in the field goal range. Come on, man. Stop. Does that look like a guy that's ready to retire? You tell me. You tell me. Because that throw, God damn. My goodness. He had a couple of fade balls down the sideline to A.B. tonight where I'm just saying, Ben, stop your nonsense, man. Stop it. Okay? Cut it out. That's Brandon Call over there. That man's got family at home watching this game. Stop. Stop, Ben. Brown, stop. Okay? That man's got kids at home. Ridiculous. That throw to Jesse James on the final possession on 3rd and 14. Ben, come on, man. They had two guys around Jesse James. Ben was outstanding tonight, man. The throw to A.B. when they were down 31-20, a 3rd and 6, and he gave them a hard count, got them to show their blitz. C.J. Mosley showed Ben, okay, I'm coming off of your right side. Ben was able to go ahead and check, make sure the protection was set, which gave him the time to then find A.B. over the middle for about a good 45 yards. To me, that was the play of the game at that time. Because they were down 11 at that point in the game, 31-20. Without that throw, without that sequence of events, they don't get back into this football game. If the Ravens get a stop there, they win this football game. Still should have won the game, but they would have got a stop right there. So it's amazing that they started out like gangbusters. They scored on their first 4 possessions of the game. Touchdown, touchdown, field goal, field goal. All 4 of their first half possessions resulted in points as they were up 20-14 at the halftime break. They were razor sharp early. And then the second half hit and they couldn't get it going. Punt, punt, punt to start the second half. And the Ravens, meanwhile, are just going bananas. They went on a 31-6 run, and all of a sudden, they're up 31-20, and then I just talked about the play that I thought turned the tide back in the favor of the Steelers. That throw to Antonio Brown over the middle of the field with the Ravens blitzing, just tremendous. You can't ask Eric Weddle to run with Antonio Brown in the slot. You're asking for trouble. Or I think that might have been Tony Jefferson. It doesn't matter. You're asking for it. And so they got it. They got what they asked for. They got a big play put on their head. And so they got the touchdown on that drive. Weren't able to get they got the field goal on that drive. Then they got the touchdown. Weren't able to get the 2-point conversion, so they were still down. Then the Ravens go back and score a touchdown. And at that point, the game should have been over. That's when the Ravens defense was supposed to step up and make a play. But they could not stop this Steelers offense. Credit their offensive coordinator, Todd Haley, for being very creative and diverse in what he was doing and them spreading the football around. We're going to get to Todd Haley here in a second, though, because I thought he made a massive mistake late in this game that almost cost his team this ball game. But nonetheless, again, Brown, Bell, Ben, just remarkable in this game. The Killer Bees on full display tonight. They were outstanding. They've been outstanding during the last, I'd say, 5 weeks of football. 4 weeks. Let's call it 4. Dating back to the Tennessee game. That's when you really started to see this offense hit its stride. They've been phenomenal. And even last week in the rain against Cincinnati, those 3 were outstanding in that football game. So Ben, Bell, Brown just continue to light the AFC on fire. They did it again tonight, and it's so much fun to watch. It really is. As they get the win 39-38 over the Baltimore Ravens. Let's talk about late game execution. I want to do that for both teams. I want to start with the Steelers, though, as they were able to get it done in this game. Right now, I felt like the Steelers almost gave the Ravens a chance to steal this game. You've got the football right around the 20, let's call it the 29-yard line. Ravens just called their second timeout. There's 46 seconds remaining in the game. Got them right where you want them. It's second down and let's call it 8. You run it again on 2nd and 8. They're going to call their last timeout. There's going to be 40 seconds, call it 40 seconds left on the clock. Now, if you want to get frisky and throw it on 3rd down, knock yourself out. I'd prefer you to run it again. And let's say you get 1 yard. And now you're kicking it from the 35-yard line. And it's a 52, no, because you were at the 28. So let's say you get to the 25-yard line on 3rd down. Now you're kicking a 43-yard field goal with 4 seconds left. And that's a walk-off, and you win. What are you doing? Why are you throwing it on 2nd down? And Ben almost threw a pick, by the way. Why are you throwing it on 2nd down? Why are you throwing it on 3rd down? Why are you leaving the Ravens with a timeout and 40 seconds left on the clock? What are you doing? Why are you being over-aggressive here? I get that you want to get closer for Chris Boswell. I get that. Run it, force them to use their final timeout, and then if you want to get aggressive on 3rd down, be my guest. Knock yourself out. But no, you don't throw it 2 consecutive downs, 2 incompletions, and leave the Ravens with a full 40 seconds and a timeout. What are you thinking? You can't do that. You luck, and not to mention, they got the best kicker in all of football. He doesn't need much. They were literally 15 yards away from an attempt from the best kicker in the league, and if he gets a chance, he might have ripped your heart right out of your chest, threw it on the ground, and you would have watched your heart beat on the field as you lost this game 41-39 with a 62-yard, gut-wrenching, just incredible field goal. And then all you would have had to blame was yourself for poor late-game execution. Got to be better. I put that on Todd Haley. Too aggressive in that spot late in this ballgame. Too aggressive. But luckily enough for you, Chris Boswell is the man. He came through for you again, and the defense got a stop when they needed to get a stop to preserve the victory, 39-38 over the Ravens. Let's get to the Ravens in this game. Defensively, this is probably their worst showing of the season. And it came at the worst time, and this has to be really disappointing because your offense was outstanding tonight. And if you get this kind of production from your offense, you feel like you're not supposed to lose the game. And the Steelers had the ground game going early. Le'Veon Bell gets injured. They stopped running the football, and they exclusively went to the pass. You knew they were throwing the football. Ben threw it over 60 times in this game. You knew they were throwing it. And you couldn't stop it. You could not stop the pass. I've said this all season long. For as good as this Ravens defense is, they get no pressure on the quarterback. Their pass rush stinks. It stinks. They have no pass rush outside of T-Sizzle. Matt Judon can get there occasionally, but for the most part, you got nothing. You got nothing getting after the quarterback. And it showed tonight. Unless you dial up a pressure that gets there, like you did right before the 2-minute warning with T-Sizzle and Tony Jefferson and all those guys coming on them, unless you dial up a pressure and you hit home, and really, that sack came off of good coverage down the field because Ben actually had time on that sack. That wasn't even a immediate pressure off of a blitz. That was good coverage down the field. I don't have first read gone, second read. Oh, here comes the pressure on the blitz. Let me put it away. So it came back to haunt you tonight, the lack of pressure on the quarterback. I've been screaming that all year long. You don't get nearly enough pressure. And you got to do something about it. You may not be able to do anything about it this year. I don't know where Tim Williams is. I don't know if he's injured. I don't know if he's not practicing well. I don't know what's going on with him. But you can't tell me that guy can't be a situational pass rusher for you. He's got to be hurt. He's got to be hurt. I don't know the story with him, but he's got to be hurt. Because there's no other reason why on 3rd and long he's not somewhere on the field doing something. So in my mind, he's hurt. I'm just going to run with that. I'm pretty sure Ravens fans watching will correct me on that and tell me why he's not playing. But you got to do something. Somebody's got to get to the quarterback. Been through it 60 some odd times for 500 yards. You couldn't get to Ben on the most critical down of the game. 3rd and 14. He had all day to throw and found Jesse James. On another big throw, he had all day, he found Antonio Brown one-on-one down the side. And for God's sakes, how many times does A.B. have to dig Brandon Carr a new asshole before they say, he's not beating us, we're double teaming him, we're taking him away. Help over the top, we're bracketing Antonio Brown. If Eli Rogers wants to beat us, go right ahead. If Martavis Bryant wants to beat us, knock yourself out. There's no Juju Smith-Schuster. Ben Roethlisberger threw for 500 and some change with no Juju Smith-Schuster. So if Jesse James wants to get me again, go ahead, Jesse James, be a Cowboy. But it won't be AB. Not that guy. Won't be the bad man. Bad man won't get me tonight. But he did. Again. Unbelievable. Dean Pease got to know better. Got to know better. It's pathetic by this Ravens defense. Really disappointed in them, to be honest with you. But with all that being said, let's get to the Ravens offense. Because they were phenomenal tonight, except for one stretch of football. The defense did get 3 consecutive stops in this game, which allowed the offense to have this really prime period of which they dominated this football game. From the late stages of the second quarter to the mid portion of the third, early fourth, late third, early fourth, they dominated this football game thoroughly, did the Baltimore Ravens. 17 unanswered third quarter points. They were up 30-20. Remember, it was 20-14 at halftime. They went up 31-20 with 17 unanswered third quarter points. They were dominating this game, and it started on the ground. And it started early. And everyone that's been watching me this year, especially Ravens fans, know I've been saying Alex Collins, Alex Collins, Alex Collins all season long. The minute you got him, I said, he's your best back. Play him more. Start him. Get him more touches. He caught it tonight. He ran it tonight. He was physical. He ran through arm tackles, got yards after contact. He was the man tonight. Then you sprinkle in a little Buck Allen, and you got yourself a mean 1-2 punch. And that's exactly what they were doing. 1-2 punching the hell out of the Steelers tonight. They had no answers. And off that run, you get play action fake, which the Ravens excel at. Joe Flacco, one of the best in the league still, at driving the football down the field. You give him time in the play action game, and he becomes dangerous. And he was throwing the football tonight. Chris Moore on some good throws and catches. Some good shots to Macklin in this game. You hit Mike Wallace on a deep one. Got a PI for Mike Wallace down to the 1-yard line, set up a touchdown. Look, the offense did their job tonight. They put up 38 points. It's not like the defense like they did last week against Detroit, chipped in with a bunch of turnovers and a pick six or a scoop and score fumble. This wasn't one of those 38-point efforts where the defense helped out with 14 points, directly or indirectly. No, this was all offense. The offense did all the work themselves in terms of scoring points. Defense got a couple of stops, but they didn't get short fields for the most part. Ravens offense had to do it themselves tonight. And they did some good things tonight. And it's disappointing that it didn't stand. It didn't stick up. So that was pretty disappointing. Looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulty here. I don't know what the smell is going on. In any event, hopefully that fixed it. That was really disappointing, to say the least. And even with all that being said, I felt like the Steelers were in a bad spot. You had them right where you wanted them. You had them right where you wanted them. And it's second and let's call it 6. We're right around the 240 mark in the game. First of all, let's go back to first down. You're up in this game 38-36. You got the football. There's 3 minutes left in this game. Right? Let's call it 3 minutes. Probably a little less than that. Let's call it 3 minutes. Steelers have all 3 of their timeouts plus a 2-minute warning. So essentially 4 timeouts if they need it. But you've got the ultimate equalizer. The run game. You've been killing them all night long. All night long. All night. Oh. All night long. All night. All night. Killing them all night long on the ground. So, in my mind, you've seen the meme. You've seen it. Up here, I got it. I know what they're going to do. They're going to run it on first down. They're going to run it on second down. Oh, wait for it. Wait for it. They're going to run it on third down if need be. Because anybody that was watching the game tonight, did you think the Steelers on 3 straight plays could stop the Ravens at any point from getting 10 yards if they ran it 3 straight times? I'm looking around for hands in the air. Does anybody have their hands up? Because I don't see any. I don't see any hands raised. You threw it on first down. Why? Why? Okay. You run it on second down. You get 6. It's 3rd and 4. I'm looking around, and you heard Chris Collinsworth say, I don't know if I don't turn around and hand it off again. And I'm looking at Chris Collinsworth, and I'm saying, you are a genius, because I was thinking the same thing. I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to hand it to the guy that has been gutting the Steelers all night, and I'm going to tell him, get me a first down and put this game on ice. Big fella. Steelers are now down to 2 timeouts. You run it again, guess what? Even if you don't get it, they're down to 1 timeout. You pin them, which you did end up pinning them deep, and you force them to have to go the length of the field with a timeout and hope you get a stop. But I'm taking my chances on the ground. And not only would I have run it on first, second, I would have ran it on third down. You ran it 1 time and got 6 yards. What are you doing? It's amazing, too, because remember how we used to criticize every single Ravens coordinator, offensive coordinator. Oh, they're too conservative, or oh, they're throwing the football too much. It's always one or the other with the Ravens. Their offensive coordinator either isn't running it enough or he's running it too damn much. Well, this was a situation where you couldn't have run it enough tonight. And in the spot where you needed to run it more and you would have won the game, the Steelers could not stop you from running the football. You run it 3 times, you win this game. You're going to win this game. At worst, you run it 3 times. You know what's going to happen? You're going to get a first down. And let's say the Steelers stop you the second round, the second go-round. You're going to punt the football to the Steelers with about 51 seconds left. You're going to pin them, and you're going to say, good luck getting in the field goal range with no timeouts and needing to go about 65 yards to get in the field goal range. Good luck with that. Instead, you left them with 2 timeouts or 3 timeouts. They didn't even burn a timeout, now that I think about it, because I remember on that 3rd and 14, before the 3rd and 14, the debate was, well, if they don't pick up a first down here, what do? Do you punt it away? You still got all 3 of your timeouts. You're so deep in your own territory, you just got to punt at this point, right? They didn't have to worry about that. Jesse James gets 16. So they still had all 3 of their timeouts because of your lack of execution down the stretch. I thought both teams blew it down the stretch, to be honest with you. Steelers got away with theirs. Unfortunately, you did not. So in any event, hell of a game by the Ravens, but you fell short. And this could cost you. This loss right here, because a win in this game would have put you not only in a position to still try to win a division, which you probably wouldn't have gotten, but it would have put you in a better position, because if I'm a wild card team, I am fighting, I am scratching, I am clawing to get that 5th seed. I want whoever is coming out of the AFC West. That's who I want to play in the first round of the playoffs. I don't give a damn who it is. Chargers, Chiefs, I don't give a shit. I want the 5th seed so I can get me a first-round playoff game against that team, whomever it is, because I know I can go to Arrowhead. I know I can go to L.A. and get a home game against the Chargers and beat their ass and get to the second round and then become dangerous. And if you do that, guess what? You set up a second-round matchup with guess who? Most likely these same damn Steelers. If they don't beat New England, they'll be your 2 seed. You'll be setting up a second-round matchup. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I want no parts of Jacksonville. None. If they win the division. Now, if it's Tennessee, not scared of them. I want no parts of Jacksonville. None. None. Why would I do that when I could go get me some of Kansas City? Kansas City Chiefs. Why would I want to do that when I could go get me some of them Chargers? Why would I do that? I want none of Jacksonville. But now you put yourself in a position where beggars can't be choosers. Beggars can't be choosers. You may have to take what you can get. You might have to take that 6th seed. Take your ass to Jacksonville. But I hope they don't win the division. We will see. But in any event, Steelers get it done. 39-38 in a thrilling football game at Heinz Field on Sunday Night Football. Excellent watch. Steelers go to 11-2 on the season. Meanwhile, the Ravens have let's call it a 3-game winning streak snapped as they dropped to 7-6. They were surging too. And this isn't the end of the world. Like they talked about on telecast, you got Cleveland on the road, home for Indy, home for Cincinnati to finish up the season. You should be able to win all 3. The Cincinnati Bengals look like they've officially quit. That debacle at home versus Chicago today, that's them waving the white flag. That's time for Marvin Lewis to move on. So you don't really have a tough game left. The Browns are going to give you a run, but as you saw today, they simply don't know how to win. They just don't know how to win. Even when the other team is giving them a win, they don't know how to win. So you're going to win your last 3 games. As long as you don't do anything stupid, you're going to win the last 3 games. I don't know if that's going to be good enough to get you out of the 6th seed, however, though. I think the team that doesn't win the AFC South is still going to win 10 or 11 games, which Tennessee beat you already. Jacksonville beat you already. So it doesn't matter which one of those teams you finish tied with. Most likely you're not going to win a tiebreaker over either one of those teams. They've both beaten you this season. So it doesn't benefit you to finish anything less than 11-5, which you threw that out of the window tonight. So you're probably locked into the 6th seed. But you never know what happens. Tennessee lost today. They're 9-4. They could lose again and lose again. Who knows? They got another tough one, if I'm not mistaken, next week. Do the Titans. And then they get an easy layup in the division. And then they finish up with Jacksonville at home, if I'm not mistaken. That game is. So who knows? I'm not counting you out. But 6th seed, it's going to be tough. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, let's get to some comments, shall we? I think that's in order right now. All right. Captain Spartan 04 says, did we just win? My Steelers giving me heart attacks. Yeah, you won again, man. You said that last week. Now, last week, there was a reason to say that. You had no business winning. Well, you know what? I take that back. I apologize, Cap. You had no business winning this game either. So, really, I can say that for the last 3 weeks. You had no business beating Green Bay 3 weeks ago. And no business beating Cincinnati last week. You had no business winning tonight. So, I guess we could say that every week about your Steelers. But they find ways to win, and that's what good teams do. John Perez says, what a game. Hope the Steelers get one more ring from Big Ben in 2017 if this is his last year. I don't know. I'm telling you what. I thought this was his last year earlier in the season when he looked like a guy that was just holding on. Now, I'm looking around and I'm like, hey, Ben, you sure you want to hang it up, brother? You look awfully good right now, man. You got football left. You got football left. So, I don't know. Pepe, the YouTuber, says, looks like I'm taking a trip to Loserville. Hey, I'm already there, bro. But I already told you I was going to flame out fantastically. It was gonna be a beautiful scene either way. Either I was gonna be a beautiful shooting star and I was gonna flame out, or I was going to be it was gonna be a beautiful scene, you know, or it was going to be a beautiful car crash. It was going to be a wreck. And I'm just so disappointed in a lot of teams that didn't win tonight. Dark Sealer says, you disrespected Big Ben by saying he's done. Don't ever disrespect the man, Lou. I thought he was done. I really did. He looked like he was on his last legs. And anytime a dude starts talking about contemplating retirement, generally speaking, they look like Ben looked at the beginning of the season. He wasn't fully committed at the beginning of the season. He wasn't. And you can't tell me otherwise. You can't convince me otherwise, but he's committed now. I mean, he got into the season about 6 weeks in. You could see the switch starting to turn on. And I think the low point, the rock bottom of his season, obviously, was that loss against Jacksonville. Let's call it week 5 against Jacksonville, whenever that was. And that was rock bottom. Through 5 picks in the game, you get trounced at home by the Jaguars. And that was a wake-up call for Ben. Like, if I'm going to play this year, I got to be all in. And he's been all in since. And the man is playing outstanding football. I mean, tonight was ridiculous. John Niner says, Brown and Bell, best duo in the NFL. Hard to argue that. Really hard to argue that. Ginger Callum says, Antonio Brown is the MVP of the NFL. I don't want to hear anything else. Well, with Carson Wentz going down most likely for the season, that's one guy out of your way. And with Russell Wilson and the Seahawks getting shut down today for the most part, and the balance of their season still, or the outcome of their season still in the balance, pretty safe to say that Antonio Brown's got a legitimate shot. Will he win? It's hard for a receiver to win MVP of the league, but he's got a shot. John Perez says, Antonio Brown for MVP. He's got a shot. Buffalo pregame says, I don't like rooting for the Steelers, but I had to do it for the Bills. But Pittsburgh always does this to Baltimore. As an NFL fan, I feel for them. They always find a way to gut the damn Ravens, don't they? The immaculate extension, what was that? Was that last year to win the division on Christmas? Yeah, I think it was. I mean, they always seem to do this to the Ravens, man. The Ravens just have a hard time doing this. Pamil Productions says, this is why I will take a real-life football W over fantasy football W any day. Let me read that one again. I need to process that one. So this is why I will take a real-life football W over. Oh, of course. I don't play fantasy for that particular reason right there, because you can't get me to root against my team or a player on my team, or I can't bring myself to root for a player of a team that I don't want to win or I hate, because I need that player to do well, but still the team to lose. It's tough to be like, well, I want Odell Beckham Jr. to have 200 yards receiving, but I still want the Giants to lose. Those usually don't go hand in hand. If he goes off for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, they're probably going to win the game, which I don't want. So it's just a conflict of interest for me with fantasy football. That's why I don't play. John Perez says, can Ravens still get a wild card? They're still in the playoffs right now. They're still the 6th seed. So, and they're going to get in. I don't see them falling out. Dark Sealer says, Antonio Brown is Jerry Rice in his prime. He's a monster with the best hands ever. I won't go as far as to say best hands ever. He's got really good hands, but he does have drops. Right? He doesn't even have the best hands in the NFL right now. You know, Larry Fitzgerald, to me, has better hands than Antonio Brown. However, A.B. is legit. And the thing that amazes me with A.B. is he's not a big guy at all. And yet he plays like he's 6'2", 215. You know, he plays the position like a big receiver, but he's not a big guy. And so he'll go over the middle, he'll take shots. He's physical. You saw the shot he took in the end zone against Cincinnati to get that go-ahead score. I mean, the guy, or to tie the game up, the guy's fearless. He can beat you underneath, he can beat you deep. He's absolutely phenomenal. Ginger Callum says, Week 16 is at Houston. That's a win. So the Steelers are in a good spot. They're in a really good spot. Andrew Kim says, this hurts, but glad the schedule gets a lot easier, but this one was so winnable. I know the feeling, bro. I know the feeling when you let one slip away and you're like, damn, you had an opportunity. That's the way I felt after the Saints game as a Redskins fan, where you look at the schedule and you look up and you say, okay, we about to get the Giants on Thanksgiving, and we got all these easy games coming up. You know, or at least winnable games. No game in the NFL is easy per se. With a ton of winnable games, and you're like, man, if I could have just gotten this one. Damn it, man. You know, this one stings, for sure. He says, this one was so winnable. Play calling in the fourth was bad. Don't understand why Carr was covering Brown instead of Marlon. I don't either. I brought up both points. Thought the play calling down the stretch was horrific. Thought that actually cost you the game. And then I figured, look, Carr's getting scorched. Is it going to kill you to try Marlon Humphrey? I mean, he can't do any worse. I can assure you of that. He can't do any worse. John Niner says, Niners back-to-back wins for the first time since 2014. Jimmy G. I told you they were going to win against Houston. I expected that. I don't know who you have next week, but I'm looking forward to seeing who you guys have next week and how he plays next week. Dark Steeler says, when Big Ben is on, he is unstoppable. He was slinging it everywhere, and the Ravens had no answer for it. John Perez says, off subject, did you see the Seahawks versus Jags scuffle followed by a Seahawks player mouthing at a bottle thrown fan? Yeah, I watched the end of that game. I actually watched most of that game, probably like 3/4 of that game. So, yeah, you're talking about Quentin Jefferson, rookie out of Maryland, gets tossed out of the game. So I'll give you a little bit of background, then we're going to get back to this game. A little bit of background on that situation. So the Jags pick off Russell Wilson late in that ball game to pretty much seal the deal. A.J. Boye gets a pick, and they've basically won the game at this point. And they're taking knees. And as they're taking a knee, the Seattle Seahawks get extremely physical with them. You know, almost like the Greg Schiano tactics when he was at Tampa, where he would tell his players, go hard, try to force a fumble of the snap, that sort of thing. You know, it's an unwritten rule in the NFL. Once you've lost the game, you've lost the game. Don't try to go hard at that point. Everybody's relaxing. Don't go hard. That's how guys get hurt. Well, they went hard at the end. They were pissed. And, you know, you start getting hands flying. Next thing you know, Michael Bennett's in the middle of a scuffle with offensive lineman Cam Robinson. Then Leonard Fournette comes to the aid of Robinson and throws a punch. It's like an open hand fist. You know, I analyze these little scuffles, skirmish fights, whatever you want to call them. So he comes in and hits the guy in the face. The referees, the flags everywhere, hats going up in the air because they've already thrown their flag. Then you get a situation where it's a fight on the ground between the offensive lineman and another Seahawk player, and it got out of control. So they sort everything out. Michael Bennett basically is on the bench now because game's over. There's no need for any of this. So Pete Carroll takes Michael Bennett out of the game because he's heated, and he doesn't need to put him back in the game because he's hot. He's looking to hit somebody. No need, just sit him down. And the Jags took out Fournette because he was hot. They took out Cam Robinson. He was throwing helmets. He was pissed. Like, he wanted to fight somebody. They had to literally restrain him. He was going nuts. So they took him out of the game. And, you know, so they go back out on the field. The referee kind of, you know, everyone's got a flag. There's offsetting penalties. Everyone and their mama got a flag. Let's just get this thing over with. Everybody go home, drive safe. And they snapped the ball again. And the new guys that came in the game, they're acting stupid for the Seahawks. Quentin Jefferson comes in, and he wants to run and try to blow something up. So it's another little skirmish, and the referee says, we had enough. Hey, 96, get your ass out of the game. We're not having this. So they throw Quentin Jefferson out. On the way out, and it was crazy because when Tyler Lockett, I saw this the first time, Lockett catches a touchdown late in the game to bring the Seahawks within 7. And as he turns around, as he scored, he caught a bomb. First play, touchdown, and the Jags were tripping defensively, giving up big plays late when they started playing soft. And so he catches like let's call it a 65-yard touchdown on the first play to give them a chance to get back into this game. And as he turns around, a fan throws a cup of Gatorade, hits him in the back. So as Quentin Jefferson, now we fast forward to the end of the game, Quentin Jefferson gets thrown out of the game. As he's walking towards the tunnel, a fan hurls a thing of Gatorade at him, a cup of Gatorade. It misses him. But he goes bananas. He goes over takes his helmet off. He storms over to the sidelines where the fans are, you know, the bleacher section. And he's mouthing off to a fan. The fan is talking back to him, and they're going. And then another cup comes at him. And he goes bananas, goes ballistic. Excuse me. And he breaks through the guys, the security that's escorting him out off the field. He breaks through those guys, and he jumps up on the barrier, and he tries to climb up, and then they yank him down, and they're pushing him away, and then they throw another cup at him. And it was just crazy. It was nonsense. I hate seeing fans act that way because you wouldn't have done that to Quentin Jefferson if you saw him on the street. If you saw him in the parking lot, the guy's 300 pounds, he beat your ass. But, you fans think because they paid for a ticket, they got the license to do whatever the hell they want to do. It's just like these keyboard crusaders out here talking shit because they're behind the keyboard. These trolls out here that type a whole bunch of nonsense because they're anonymous. Same thing. And it was good to see the security guard jump into the crowd, and he went and got that guy, and he took his ass out of the game. The game was already over anyway, but still. It's crazy, though. Yeah, I saw it. It was crazy. Captain Spartan 04 says, I'll tell you what. Sean Davis definitely replaced the tone of voice of the defense in Ryan Shazier. Sean Davis is physical, but he's also not a smart football player. So he's one of those guys you got to watch out for because he's undisciplined, and you can't replace Ryan Shazier. Maybe his voice, but he can't replace the play. That's the problem. John Perez says, why didn't Myles Garrett tackle Devontae Adams when he had him in his sights? That literally cost the Browns the Packers game. I don't know if you're talking about in overtime, because that didn't cost them the game. They had ample opportunities to win before then. They were going to at least kick a field goal. Mason Crosby was probably going to make the field goal anyway. So, Captain Spartan says, Cam Sutton secretly becoming all right. Yeah, I agree. Quietly, that rookie is starting to play some quality football. Ginger Calvin says, bro, Brady going to have a field day against this secondary. I'm scared. You should be scared not only of Brady throwing the football, you should be scared of Brady and that Patriots offense running the football. They've run it really well lately. And if you're going to stop the run like that, or lack thereof, they're going to gash you both ways, throwing and running. Ricky L says, can we borrow Captain Kirk for the rest of the year? Hashtag Wentz, hashtag why? I hope that the MRI reveals that it's not what the Eagles fear, but normally when you get an x-ray and it shows damage, you know what you're looking at. He's pretty much done. And you know what this reminds me of? This is the third straight year that some poor team that has gotten off to a ridiculous start is going to have their season ripped right from underneath them with a late season injury to their quarterback. 2 years ago, it was Andy Dalton. The Bengals were just ridiculous 2 years ago. They were looking like a Super Bowl contender. Dalton goes down to the broken thumb, and they get ejected from the playoffs immediately, which is a shame. Then you turn around last year, the Raiders are well on their way to competing in the AFC, and then Carr goes down in Week 16 to the Colts, to the leg injury, and just like that, they're ejected from the playoffs immediately. Don't win the division. They were going to win the division. They don't win the division. Chiefs end up getting the division title. They have to go to Houston, and they get ejected from the playoffs by Brock Osweiler, of all guys. And now you've got a situation where Nicholas Foles is going to have to play the remainder of the season for the Eagles. And Wentz is going to be the MVP. Same thing with Carr last year. He looked like he had a shot at the MVP. It's ridiculous. And they're probably going to get ejected from the playoffs immediately as well. That just sucks. It just really does. I hate to see that. John Niner says, cap to the Eagles. No, not happening. Dark Sealer says, how do you leave Brown one-on-one? The man is a legend. Andrew Kim says, Ravens could not cover a tight end to save their lives tonight. Macklin has been a very bad signing, just rarely in sync with Flacco. That injury late hurt any chances of getting in field goal range. He's got to get up right there. I don't know what was wrong with him. I thought he was more hurt because he didn't catch the football than anything else. Obviously, something was wrong with him. But, late in games, unless there's something terribly wrong to the point where you can't move. Like, I don't want to see you get up and walk off the field 30 seconds later. If you can get up at that moment, I don't care if you got to stagger to the sidelines. Get your ass up. I don't care if you got to crawl. Do not. The clock was not running, okay? Do not force me to use my last timeout right there. Do not get me a 10-second runoff if I don't have any timeouts. Get your ass up. get off the field. I don't know what was wrong with him, though. I can't fuss at him for not getting off the field because I don't know what was wrong with him. But I know 30 seconds later, he got up and he walked off on his own power. God damn it, get your ass up off the field. But in any event, I'm not here to judge because I don't know what was wrong with him. But you're right. Maclin hasn't been what you thought he was going to be, and really a lot of it has been injuries. You can't get in sync with Flacco when you're just never healthy. So he's been a little bit of a disappointment. And then that injury did take your last time out from you. And like you said, that kind of just knocked the winds out of any sails late in the ball game. Captain Spartan 04 says, talk about the Knicks TD. That was an awesome catch by a fullback. I mean, how often is it? And you know, that's when you know Ben's in a zone because, you know, he's looking. There's nothing. He's about to get sacked. He looks over. He sees Roosevelt Knicks. And he's like, you take it. And he throws a BB right to his chest. Like, you know, you don't want to ask a fullback to make a catch like that. But damn it, that was a great catch by a fullback. That's awesome. Dark Sealer says, I'm not blaming Maclin, but an injury at the end costing the Ravens timeout was huge. Yes, it was. John Perez says, was this a Steelers comeback or a Ravens choke? This wasn't a choke by the Ravens. I wasn't in love with the play calling down the stretch. But, you know, the Steelers came back and they took this football game. You'd like to see them get a stop on 3rd and 14, the Ravens defense. You'd like to see them not give up a bomb to Antonio Brown down the sidelines to set up a field goal. Yeah, that'd be nice. But they had ample opportunities in this game. But the Steelers, they took this game. The Ravens didn't give this to them. So. The Black L.A.B says, can't wait until the Steelers get exposed for the pretenders they are because their defense stinks. What about your defense today? Huh, Mr. Black L.A.B? I talked about your defense last week. Everybody killed me. Huh? Yeah, see, yeah. What about that defense today? Yeah, see, huh? Yeah. Huh? Yeah, we're going to talk about your defense today. Your defense looked a real suspect today. We're going to talk about those boys later on tonight. John Perez says, Ravens will shit the bed in the playoffs if they keep falling apart like this. We'll see. I'm not sure. I can't with you, Black L.A.B. I cannot. Brandon Williams says, I want Dean Pease fired because he should know that he should double Antonio Brown in certain situations. That he's just got to be better than that. Dean Pease knows better, and you just can't leave him one-on-one like that, man. I don't think he needs to be fired necessarily, but got to be better in a situation than that. Alex Harrison says, CJ is hurt. It's evident. I thought he actually got away with pass interference in the end zone, but that's no here nor there. AK says, Ravens rookie defensive lineman pass rushers haven't been good. Wormley, Bowser, Tim Williams were active, and other than Bowser, just no pressure from them regardless of limited snaps. I wasn't ever impressed with Tyus Bowser as a pass rusher at Houston. I was more impressed with his ability to cover guys out of the backfield than I ever was. He's just long. I've never been impressed with him as a pass rusher. Tim Williams, I expected a lot out of him, but I haven't seen anything from him. And Chris Wormley, I was never impressed with him as a pass rusher either. I just thought he was a solid interior, defensive lineman, a guy that could knife into the backfield and make plays in the run game. But as far as the pass rusher is concerned, I wasn't impressed with him at Michigan either. So just haven't been impressed with the Ravens and their ability or inability to get to the quarterback. Captain Spartan says they did double team AB a million times. He still just got open. I'm not buying that. A lot of times tonight I saw AB winning on one-on-one or zone coverage. Those throws down the sideline, that safety getting over there that late, that's not double teaming. When you're double teaming a guy, you're clearly defining double team with that safety shading over the top. Like, there's no way Ben's even going to look this way. The reason Ben felt confident throwing those footballs is because there was a window. It was one-on-one with the safety over the top, but he wasn't shading over the top. I didn't see a ton of double teams tonight. I saw Antonio beating man-to-man coverage consistently tonight. I saw him beating zone coverage consistently tonight, and they got what they deserved because they didn't take away the Steelers' best. Black L.A.B says, I need to know how do teams not go in drawing up a plan to stop AB? Shit is retarded. I get it. I don't get it either. I'm with you. Andrew Kim says, that's why Bill Belichick is the best. Because one thing Bill Belichick isn't going to allow you to do is he's not going to allow you to beat him with your best players. If Jesse James wants to step up, all right, Jesse James, have yourself a ball game. If Eli Rogers wants to beat us, go ahead, knock yourself out. It won't be Antonio Brown. That's why the Patriots are so good. Dark Sealer or Andrew Kim says, Jimmy Smith tearing his Achilles suspended was the worst thing that happened to the defense at the wrong time. Other than the first few weeks, Carr's gotten burnt like toast. I knew he wasn't going to be that effective. He was never that effective for the Cowboys. The only thing I can say about Brandon Carr is he just doesn't miss any time. He's always available. It's funny because a couple of weeks ago, Ravens fans were killing Jimmy Smith when he got ate up by Nuke. Oh, Jimmy Smith is garbage and Jimmy Smith this. And I'm like, hey, man, it wasn't all Jimmy tonight. And you need Jimmy. Don't sit here and talk trash about Jimmy like you don't need him. Now Jimmy suspended / torn Achilles. And all of a sudden now, oh, man, Jimmy Smith, we could use Jimmy Smith. Yeah. Be careful what you wish for. Sometimes you just might get it. Dark Sealer says the game changed when Joe decided to throw it on 3rd and 2. And he gave the ball back to the Steelers. You have to run it there because I believe the Steelers just kicked a field goal. They had some opportunities in this game to run the football, pick up first downs, and keep the football away from the Steelers and burn and bleed more clock. And I just thought it was bad play calling really down the stretch by the Ravens. Blackbird Blitz says, this week live up to December playoff football to you. Why we got to wait until December to see real NFL football? Because this is when it's really – because the teams that aren't good know they're not good. They know they don't have a shot. And the team – now there's a sense of desperation. Because, when you're in October, when you're in November, you keep telling yourself, we got plenty of football left to play. We still got time. And then when you get to December, no, you don't have time. You got a quarter of the season left. You got 4 games. You got 3 games left. You don't have time. Now you're desperate. Every week is the last week. So that's why you see this kind of football. Andrew Kim says, sucks more was hurt in the first half. Would have liked to see him out there in the second because other wide receivers weren't helping out other than Wallace was making plays earlier. I told you I like Chris Moore a lot. And I told you about a month ago, he needs to see more touches. There was one game where he had a catch on a fake punt. I'm like, look, man, Chris Moore needs more touches. Not on special teams, on offense. Why is this guy not touching the football more? I think I started talking about Chris Moore in I want to say it was the Chicago game. I want to say it was. Why isn't Chris Moore touching it more? Alex Harrison says, play calling on the last 2 drives ruined us. Plus the fact that the defense completely fell flat, especially on 3rd downs. At least our schedule for the rest of the year is soft. Facts on top of facts on top of facts. I can't disagree with anything you just said there. Black L.A.B says, even though my Vikes lost, old iterations don't come back down to 11 points with 5 minutes to go. They don't give up. They fight. So I'm on to Cincinnati. All right. I hear you. All right. Let's see what we got. John Niner says, my Niners, we beating the Titans next week. Book it. I don't know about that, but they are playing. They are playing some real spotty football right now. So, it is what it is. Let's see, they skipped a whole bunch of comments. I think I have caught up. The hell is going on in the comment section? I'm scrolling past and I'm seeing a lot of hearts and craziness going on. What in the hell is going on? Black L.B says, hey, Louie, oh my God. Really? Okay. I don't know what the hell is going on, but we're going to put a stop to that. Yikes. Jesus Christ. What is wrong with y'all? Jesus. All right, here we go. Y'all are crazy, man. I cannot do this with y'all tonight. I cannot. John Perez says, forgot to say about the Thursday night game that those Saints and Falcons uniforms look like before the before and after images of a tampon. Look, y'all can sit here and laugh, and I heard somebody else kill those uniforms. I loved them. First of all, red is my favorite color, so maybe that's why I'm a little biased. And I love the Saints white on white with the gold. White on white with gold, to me, with a splash of gold is money. You can't go wrong with that. So I don't know. Whatever. Cloud says Wentz isn't confirmed out of the way. That's what I said. Let's hope tomorrow's MRI reveals that it's not structural damage, nothing's torn, and that he sprained his knee or his MCL. He's going to be out like 2 to 4 weeks. The Eagles can survive that. And if they get a first round bye, he'll be able to rest up and he should be able to come back for the playoffs. But if it's torn, he's done, obviously. Captain Spartan says, let's be honest, even Tom Brady don't want to face the Jaguars. Nobody. I told you I told you a month ago, there are 2 teams, possibly 3, that could be a problem in the AFC. Jacksonville 1, Ravens 2, Chargers 3. I told you Jacksonville, I told you a long time ago, Jacksonville, you don't want it with them. John Niner says, A. Brown, best receiver in football. Yep. Facts. John Perez says, how do the Jags keep winning? They're a joke franchise for years, but now you know why they're winning? Because Tom Coughlin came on board. That's why. They got a guy who's no nonsense, and they've been drafting well for years. You say what you want about coaching and Gus Bradley and them being a joke of a franchise. Well, the front office has been intact and been picking good players for years. They went out, had themselves a hell of a free agency, got A.J. Boye, got my man from Arizona, and all of a sudden now, that defense lights out. You draft Fournette, and all of a sudden now, with Ivory, Fournette, and Yeldon, and all those guys, you can run it. You got a ton of receivers. None of them are great, but all of them solid. And you got yourself a recipe for success. Defense that stifles teams, causes turnovers. Offense that doesn't turn it over themselves. They run the football. You got success. Captain Spartan says, Quentin Jefferson ain't no rookie. He might not be. He might be like in his 2nd or 3rd year. I think he's in his 2nd year out of Maryland. Black L.B. says, I picked the Browns to win. They threw up all over themselves. Hugh has to go. Hugh's not going anywhere, but I, like you, picked the Browns to win. I thought they'd get their first win this week, and that was pretty upsetting to see them not come through when they had a great opportunity to win. Dark Sealer says, the fans hide behind security. I wish security would have let that fan get his ass beat. Fans are the little dogs as the players are pit bulls. I just don't understand why fans think just because they pay for a ticket, they have the right to disrespect these players. It's ridiculous. Sports Fury says, great game, it was. Black LB says, come on, Lou. You a Skins fan. You know you a little happy about the Eagles. Nah, man. I never want to see a team lose because of injury. I wanted to see the Eagles lose fair and square. I take no... I get no joy nor excitement out of another team losing due to injury. None. Not one shred of my body, not a fiber of my body gets excited about watching. I don't care if it's the Cowboys, Giants, or Eagles. I don't get excited about a team losing because their best player is out. I don't. Because I don't want to hear the excuses, 1. And 2, I want to see the Eagles at full strength go in and have a shot to win. And not win and be able to say, y'all had all your horses and you couldn't get it done. So no, I'm not excited about that. Captain Spartan says, is it still guaranteed Lattimore winning Defensive Rookie of the Year because TJ should really get a shot? I don't think he is gonna win at all. TJ's been playing some ball though, but I don't think he's gonna win. Dominic Gardner says, what's your thoughts on the snow game? I didn't see it yet, so I got to watch it. Andrew Kim says, Martavis Brown looked terrible in this game. Did he ever return in college because he muffed a few returns and doesn't look like himself? I don't know what was going on with him. You know, I know the one where he almost had the safety. He thought it was going to bounce into the end zone. It didn't, so he had to pick it up and try to make something of it. And that almost turned into a disaster. But to be honest with you, he's been a spark back there since he was put back there. Tonight just wasn't a good night for him. Black L.B says, oh, man. Let's see. Here we go. Black L.B says, man, they were on their third road game against a playoff team fighting to get in and still had a chance to win. Vikes are about the best defense in the NFC. Hey, I'm not disagreeing with that. But all I said was they're not elite. That's all I said. They're a damn good defense. Damn good football team for that matter. But the defense is not elite. You had a chance today to beat the Panthers. You should have beat the Panthers. Should have won that game. And your defense let you down. Offense let you down too. Offense let you down more than the defense did. Adam Thielen, for the big, even though he had a big touchdown grab to get you back in that game, he let you down in this game. But nonetheless, Black L.B says, Case out there looking like the white Russell Wilson. Wish the receivers didn't have mad drops in the O-line dropping like flies again. I hope that your right tackle, Riley Reef, is okay. Because I think he's your right tackle. He might be your left tackle. Either way, he got carted off today. I hope he's all right, man. Like, nobody wants to see that, man. Seriously. BHCMREJ says, I'm wondering why we kept Humphrey on the bench all this time. It should have been Jimmy and Hump starting all year. Carr is garbage. Also, Bowser is good for some reason we don't play him. I don't know why it took Hump this long to get on the field either, man. I'm now that I'm seeing him, I'm asking the same question, like, was he hurt or was he not practicing? What was the problem? What was the holdup? He should have been on the field. I guess you're paying Carr all this money you figure you're gonna start to do, but I just don't know. John Perez says, forgot to mention, I got a final exam on Wednesday morning. I'll try to make it to the Redskins report special, but I'll be studying while I watch. It's all good, man. Some things take precedence over the show, bro. You got an exam, got to kill that exam, man. John Perez says, any debris throwing fans should be banned for life. Plus, these everyday internet trolls are probably the worst. And the Spartan says, how Patriots covering Juju and Bryant? Well, does Martavis make plays anymore on offense? I don't really see him making any plays. We'll see. John Perez says, should there have been a flag on the Wentz hit? What Wentz hit? He dove in the end zone. That's how he got hurt. I don't know if I'm missing a hit that he took. Dominic Gardner says, what game did you like more, Ravens versus Steelers or Ravens versus Bengals? Both of them were entertaining games, but Bengals versus Steelers, more entertaining. But Ravens versus Steelers was a more aesthetically pleasing game. It was cleaner for the NFL, not as many flags, not going to have as much controversy afterwards, but Bengals and Steelers was a little bit more physical, and the chippiness was real. You know, like everyone has said, and I've heard this more times over the last 2 weeks than I've heard over the last 2 years. The Ravens-Steelers rivalry is just as physical as Steelers and Bengals. There's just an element of respect. So, and that's what I saw tonight. So there you have that. BHCMREJ says, if you're Ozzy, do you draft a QB in the first 2 rounds in the upcoming draft? Maybe. Maybe. Not out of the realm of possibility, but you got to see what's on the board too. That always helps dictate what you do. You know, there may be a guy that you can't believe he's still sitting on the board. Let's say the Ravens make it to the playoffs and they get bounced in the first round by Jacksonville. That would put you probably with the 22nd pick in the draft. Let's call it 22nd, 21st, somewhere around there. So if you have that 21st pick, 22nd pick, you might get there and you might see a pass rusher like, man, I didn't expect this guy to be on the board. We got to take him. Or you may look up and say, there are no quarterbacks that we have a higher grade than a 4th round pick on left after everyone's rummaged through all of the quarterbacks and taken the first 4 that were any good off the board already. So we'll see. But in any event, that's going to do it for your man Louie T here on Sunday Night Football overtime. Steelers get the win in dramatic fashion again, 39-38 in a barn burner of a football game. Thought this was excellently played by both teams. Thought some late game strategy gaffes by both teams allowed both teams to have a shot to win late. Ravens should have won this game by icing the clock and securing a 38-36 lead. They struggled to execute down the stretch. Thought it was some poor play calling. Meanwhile, the Steelers should have been kicking a walk-off field goal instead of kicking a field goal with about 45 seconds left, and the Ravens still having a timeout. So, nonetheless, Steelers get it done, 39-38. They go to 11-2. They're waiting on the results of the Monday night game with the the Dolphins and the Patriots. The Patriots take care of business like we expect them to. Both teams will go into next week's epic showdown at 11-2. Winner of that's going to have home field throughout in the AFC playoffs in 2017. The loser probably going to end up with the 2 seed and a first round bye. So we'll see what happens in that game. Ravens with the loss dropped to 7-6, but they've still got a chance to run the table, win the last 3 games, get to 10-6, get one of the wild cards, and potentially make some noise in the playoffs. So everything the Ravens want, with the exception of the division, still right in front of them, playoff berth, and an opportunity to get in and do damage. So they just got to take care of business from here on out. So they dropped to 7-6 with this gut-wrenching 39-38 loss. It's going to do it for your man Louie T. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content in 2017 and beyond. We changed the game over here, 1 live feed at a time. So help us do that by hitting that subscribe button. And for all of you watching out there, I've got a couple more videos in me tonight. I believe I do. I'll see how I feel after I shut this one down. But I may come back with some more live feeds because I watched a ton of football today. And I feel like talking about it now. So maybe I'll be back. Maybe I won't be back. We'll see what happens. But in any event, thank you for joining me again on Sunday Night Football overtime. Steelers get the win, 39-38 over the Baltimore Ravens. AFC North football at its best. Family business. You know how to family do it. Your man Louie T might be back. I don't know. Maybe I won't. We'll see. But thank you for joining me again. I'll see you guys next time.